Can you hear me, Major Tom? Major Tom, can you hear me? Don't say that, Major Tom. Okay, welcome back to Supreme Fuzzler and the episode review of Ghost of Sargasso, or Sargasso, for episode 6. So, it opens up with somewhere over the Bermuda Triangle, 1969, and a sunset. And then we get Jonas Venture, Rusty's, Dr. Venture's dad, and his crew, apparently. Like, this is the first time have seen them, but obviously people who are friends of Jonas Venture, or at least the superhero friends of Jonas Venture, I think. And you get a guy who's like, I can't make it, it's not gonna work, like, he's flying down from space, and he's flying down, and he's gonna crash. Jonas is like, don't talk like that, Major Tom, you'll survive, we're gonna get you through this, and you're gonna make it. And he's like, I feel it. And this is all a homage to a freaking Beatles song, oddly enough. But, so, and the guy talks about how, like, tell the action man. And, like, I need to speak to the action man. And he's like, he's listening. And, like, I'm happy. I hope you're happy also. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows! And, like, can you hear me, Major Tom? And then he falls into the ocean and explodes. And one of the things that does happen here, before the falling, is Kano. So Rusty shows up, and he's like a young boy, very young boy, obviously, in this part. And Jonas is like, "You're having a nightmare. Don't worry about it." And then he tells Kano, I don't know, we don't know who he is yet, but just this Asian dude, big Asian dude, to take Rusty downstairs and get him a warm glass of milk, hiding the fact of what's going on from Rusty. Then the dude crashes in. And it kind of cuts to Dean and Hank and the crew, Dr. Venture, Rusty, Brock, and all them. And fucking Dr. Venture is like, you need to get me a picture of me next to my Minnesota locator, my new invention? No, I need one where your shorts aren't riding up your ass. Like, what are you gonna do? It's like a towel. So funny. This, right now, like, after now we got that, like, this is a great episode, by the way. I just want to make sure everyone understands that. This is one of the better episodes. That, like, next to Eeny, Miny, Magic, and I can't get into it, but there's like 5 other episodes that are, god damn it. This is a good episode, though. Of the 6 episodes we have reviewed so far, this would be probably number 2. Yeah, because, well, it might even be number 1. Orpheus is a great character, but... So, and then it gets to Rusty, who's in a machine, and they're talking about how... Like, my dad never patented that machine, that saucer, and I can make so many green bucks off of that. And just because he left it for respect for the dead after the spaceman died, and it's under liquid black funeral. And then he goes into his voice recorder and is like, between me and only liquid black funeral, 1,000 gallons of it is in between me and my inheritance. I think is what he says. It's fucking. Rusty is such an intriguing guy, right? It's neat to see how much he's like, fuck my dad in this regard. I'm gonna go take his shit because I don't care and make money off of it because, whatever. It's neat how it perpetuates, the notion that he is not great, only his dad is great. It's interesting. It's just an interesting little concept of how they portray Rusty in these first few episodes. Yeah, he calls it a scientific trust fund. Then he talks to Dean and tests the locator and everything and shit. So they're lowering, after they talk to Dean, they're lowering fucking Rusty into the ocean. And Hank is the one dealing with the controls while Brock is like kind of holding the rope, kind of. And then they kind of fuck it up and wreck Brock's hands. Just like straight up rope burns the crap out of them. Really bad. And then Rusty, of course, is like, thanks, I hit my head. It's so funny. Fucking, and then he had Dean who's like, Dad's really serious about this because Rusty's just like going off on his voice recorder about this situation. And Dean's like, is he really in as much danger as he says? Brock like, oh yeah, he's totally screwed, and I think in an hour he's gonna have to beg us to come bring him up. And Rusty like, I can hear you guys, don't even. I like the dynamic that this that Rusty is being built with this, and in regards towards his own parent and just in general how he operates. Because the thing he's got, the locator that he's invented here, I would assume is really useful too. You would think. It's fucking weird how he doesn't just use that. He has to take off his dad's stuff. So, and then you got Rusty talking to him in his journal entry for his tape recorder. But he talks about how he's going to turn on his invention. He explains his invention, which he describes as being able to vibrate not only everything in sound, but also being able to vibrate time, which is kind of crazy. He then turns it on. So, and then it cuts to Brock right after he activates it, right before he activates it. And he's asking Brock what's going on topside, and he's like, I think Hank has a bladder infection. You got to get up like 5 times to pee, and everything seems fine though. And then he looks outside and he sees what looks like an old school like pirate galleon or whatever the fuck, and he's just like, hold on, dog. I think I see something that makes no sense. I love this little. It's so creepy. Like they do really well at doing It's like a Scooby-Doo episode kind of shit. You see the pirate ship out in the bow. You're like, oh shit, we're gonna fuck with that. We're gonna have to deal with that. So Brock is like, he's got to check it out, and fucking Rusty's like, wait. I was about to turn on my thing. I thought maybe you can talk in the background. It'd be all cool. No, oh okay. So as Brock's leaving, Rusty's talking about how like it would be cool if you say impressive, dangerous stuff in the background. As like simultaneously as Brock leaves, he also kind of wakes Hank up accidentally. And so Hank hears Rusty say this, and so Rusty wakes Dean up and is like, I heard him talk about dangerous stuff. We should probably go do something about it. And it's so weird. But, because they're such odd, curious kids. So, then you got, okay. So, Hank's like, I gotta take a whiz, though, because we should go check it out. And Dean's like, I'm good. And Hank's like, alright. And Dean's like, just piss over the bow. It makes a nice arc. And so Hank's like shooting it like a gun, pissing and shit. And going like, do, boo, boo, boo. Such a great character. And you see pirates climb up, and they cut the wires. And then as Brock's about to knock 2 out, fucking Hank notices some pirates and calls them and is like, Brock, pirates on the X2. Smooth, Hank. Very smooth. Kicks their ass, and then fucking Hank just goes off about how, like, if pirates are real, then vampires and werewolves might be real too. This changes everything, Brock. And Brock's like, we never said pirates weren't real, so you agree with me that none of this makes sense. Also, freaking the music is insanely good in that. Like this is one of the first times. I mean, episode 1, Dia das Las Dangerous, really had a good music with when Brock was killing a bunch of people with his car. But this is where you start to see one of the biggest heights of Venture Brothers, which is its music. It is phenomenal. The way they use it, where they use it, how they use it, all of it is brilliantly done and integrated with the entire show so well that it's just fucking tastic. So Dean wakes up and sees a ghost pirate. It's like, ghost pirate! And that's like, okay, that happens. But then you have Brock come out of nowhere and, like, just start whooping this dude's ass. Like, he hits him with the fucking fire extinguisher and then throws him out and just starts wailing on him. And the other pirates are like, we should help him. Are you kidding? My sword's made out of cardboard. No way. And then, like, 5 people jump on the guy. And then, like, he doesn't want to know. And the captain shows up. Great character, captain. One of the best, indeed. And it's like, he doesn't want to see his son's brains splattered all over the wall. Or see what his son's made of. That's right. And it's like, not what he's actually made of. Like, oh, I know what you mean. Shut up. Put him in the brig, boys. He also is like, to the ghost guy, because it points to the ghost. And he's like, is that guy dead? Probably. Oh, you have to do that, really? And freaking Dean. So Dean gets all like, your scheme was very clever indeed. But he's no ghost. Oh, really? I've been caught. It's so funny. God, this show. And it's great, because it's like, and you had to kill him anyway, though. And fucking Brock just shrugs. It's like, if you just played by the rules, ran away when we fucking showed up with the ghost, everything would have been fine. But now we have this happening. So, Captain's like, I'm gonna kill your son if you do anything, and tells them to take Brock to the brig. And then they're like, after they take Brock there, this guy shows them and is like, so do we not need the fog machine anymore? And another guy's like, without the fog machine, what am I gonna project the sea monster on? So fucking funny. God, this episode's good. So, and then we get back to Rusty, who's like, man, I don't get it. My device should have rolled back the curtain of time and revealed my dad's metal flying failure by now. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, and then so he turns up the locator. Because he's like, begs his master to turn it up. And of course, I will. So he does. And then it shows that he actually is close to the saucer. And a green, ghostly energy shoots out of it. Up into... And at the same time, Rusty steps into a clam. And is stuck in a clam and yells to a board. But of course, no one's listening. And then it goes to... Hank being like, Brock, have they removed your fingernails yet? And Brock being like, Hank, really, I need you to be my hands, man. Like, I gotta talk you through some shit here. So, Brock is like, okay, you're gonna need you to be my hands. And Hank's like, really? Like, yes, really. Like, okay, and then he's like, where you are, I'm at the stern of the X2. I might be able to rescue you if you give me your coordinates, though. And Brock is like, Hank, if there was any time I need you to not be Hank, it's now. And fucking Hank is such a lovable guy. Sorry, Brock. Forget about it. So, sorry. So Brock is like, all right, you're gonna be in my hands. And Hank's like, this is gonna be the greatest day of my life. And Brock like, focus, Hank. Whatever you do, don't let a cigarette. A good sniper can spot a hot cherry from miles. Brock, I don't smoke. Good, now's a lousy time to start. So funny. This episode, as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, no, actually, this is the best episode. In comparison to this and Eeny, Miny, Magic, at least. Because Eeny, Miny, Magic was great, yes, and it's funny and great. This episode has me laughing every time I watch a scene. I'm just like, holy shit, that was brilliant. It was really funny. Like, not only was it funny, and actually, it addressed the story, things are happening, like, it's amazing how much they do in this time. And then it cuts back to Captain talking to Dean, and Dean's like, we got no treasure or gold. And then he's like, I'm not after your money, or I don't even want your wallet. I just want your boat. And where's your key? Like, I don't know. And Dean does point out, though, like, you have a pirate ship. Fucking Captain, sit on my lap now, kitty. It's story time. I don't want to sit on your lap. Fine, I'll tell you anyway. So fucking funny. That boat out there hasn't moved in years. We've been stuck in that bloody sargassum, which no matter how you do it to cook it, tastes like bloody sargassum for, I don't know, 5 years. It's just Captain's story here. Yeah, it's been like 10 years for him out there with this crew. So, and his story continues, and he's like, and we hit a few ships as it goes, every so often. And he's like, oh my god, Dean's like, oh my god, doubloons and, pieces of 8? Come on, kid, who ships doubloons or, whatever, across the Sargassum or Bermuda Triangle these days? Our biggest haul? Shipment of legs eggs. Apparently, some of the men still use them as sashes and headbands. And then Dean's like, does that hurt to his tattoo? And fucking Captain, not really. Lick your hand. I got more in me pocket. Okay. So then the fucking green thing comes out of the ocean finally, lands on the ship, and you hear or some shit like that, and fucking Captain's like, what the hell was that? And Dean's like, I'm not gonna fall for that. Why are you trying to do that? And then you hear it again, and fucking Captain's like, no, for serious, what was that? I don't hear anything. Just shut up for a moment. You heard that, right? No, I didn't hear nothing. And then it shows Skelety ghost man boy from the Sargassum, good old fucking Uncle Major Tom. And then you hear the scream again, and Captain's like, "Oh my God, did you hear that? Come on, you had to have." And they keep doing the joke where basically every time Dean's talking, the scream happens, so Dean just never hears it. It's pretty awesome. And then we have Hank and Brock talking, and Brock's like, and Hank's like, the pirates are drunk on rum because they're pirates. And then he finds Brock's knife, and Brock's like, "No, leave it. You're not ready. Now, grab your throat. I want you to grab your throat." And he's like, "If that tube you feel is your trachea, your thumb is on your carotid artery. God. Now, remember, grab the handle, push the button." And I think it was a handle and a button. Grab the handle, push the button. Let go of your own throat, Hank. So brilliantly done. In such a great way. Like, I love Brock and Hank's interactions in this. Also Captain and Dean's, honestly. And even Rusty's solo shit is kind of fun. Which it cuts to Rusty, who is like, attempts to contact base has been fruitless, and the blanket of warm vomit has chilled to an icy shell. Thankfully, the stench has subsided. So funny. So, they hear this, you go back to Captain, and they hear the scream again, and he's like, "It's getting downright spooky, please give me the key." Like, "I don't have the key." Maybe Brock does. Like, who the hell's Brock? "My dad's bodyguard." Your dad has a bodyguard? Why would he need a bodyguard? The guy's a tank. Because he thinks Brock's his dad. And he's like, "Cuz." And where is this Brock guy? He's hiding, and he's waiting to help me, because he's hiding with guys. Fucking Captain's like, you're not a very good liar, are you, Dean?" Maybe. Fucking, I just gotta say that this episode is amazing. Captain is a great character. They really do well, and this episode, like, just fucking amazing. I get why, kind of spoilers, but I've already kind of mentioned he's gonna be a side character. I kind of get why they bring him back, basically. Like, he's such a fun character in this episode that it's like, of course you're going to want to see him again. He's a great character. Unless he dies, he should be brought back. And so Captain goes, "Yo ho, Mike," and he calls up his bro with a fucking, we hit a Toys R Us fucking walkie-talkie, and he's like, we hit a Toys R Us ship a couple of months ago. It's just how it is. It's just so brilliant. So, and then he tells him that the guy in the brig might have the key, or there might be a guy named Brock around with, look, I said Dean. Dean's like, "Guys?" "With guys, Mike." And then you hear the scream again, and fucking Captain's like, "You're not going to tell me you didn't hear that." And then we cut to Hank, who's knocking these people out, the people that Brock had brought him to get. And Brock's talking to him about how, like, and then you just twist the neck like that, and you'll hear a snap. And fucking Hank's like, "And that'll knock him out more?" And Brock like, "No, that'll kill him." And Hank like, "Do I have to?" "No, okay, I guess you'll tie him up." It's so funny. But also interesting that despite Hank's, obviously leaning towards Brock, he's adverse to killing here still. Despite Brock being the, mass murderer, super killer extraordinaire that he is, even by the standards we've seen in these first 6 episodes. And it's so great. Brock's like, "For the first sign of trouble, I want you to break both his knees." And then the screaming ghost shows up, and it's like, "Oh God, he's attacking Hank, kinda?" Oh, okay. And Brock's like, hears the scream, and he's like, "Hank, there's no reason to get upset. I'll talk you through this." And then you can hear people coming, and Brock's like, "Oh God, maintain radio silence until I call you." And then they're like, "We need the key to the ship. Give it to us." And Brock's like, "It's up my ass." You serious? Why don't you check?" And fucking one guy to the other guy, "Well, check." Really? Like, what if he's not lying? If he's telling the truth, that's better? I mean, yeah, because one way, if he's lying, you shouldn't fucking check him. If he isn't lying, then you probably shouldn't. Well, you gotta get it. Whatever. Fucking weird there. So, then we get Rusty. And Rusty is crawling down. He's like, "Journal entry 56. The clam does not like exploding robot legs." And it shows him crawling. And he's also like, "I lost my locator." And yes, I do know the irony of that. Because, he's looking for his dad's lost object. And he also mentions, though, there's like morale low, no radio contact. And it's just like, it's pretty shitty. But then he happens upon the fucking saucer. It's like, journal entry 57, I finally found the saucer. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, and he also goes like, oh, how they scoffed at me. Sure, even I was getting to doubt my genius with certain setbacks. Right, Rusty? Right. You had a clam destroy you. You got caught. You got no radio contact. Still, you really shouldn't be desperate in this situation, you fucking crazy bastard. You just found you can't even get that. You're still stuck down there. I don't get you, Rusty. And then we get Brock, who is getting I can't believe I got to swab the poop deck from the fucking pirates. And I love it. The one pirate's like, oh, you were all mad when we hit that kind of fucking, I think it was a Red Cross ship. And that Red Cross ship, oh, what were you ever going to do with 100 pairs of rubber gloves? And another guy like, I totally take it back. And Brock is like, hey, dude, to the one guy who's in front of him, hey, dude, I'd kill for one of those towards the cigarette that the dude's smoking. And he's like, it's my last pack. And naturally, when you know their situation, that is actually really shitty if you think about it. They're gonna be like out of smokes until they hit another ship, basically, in this regard. And yeah, the other guy is like, dude, give him one, please. And no, pirates don't give things, we take them. And fucking Brock just clenches his ass so much that the dude's hand is stuck in there. And then he starts swinging him around and hitting the other guy. And he fucks them up so bad. In the last scene, he's just like, I told you what I'd do for one of these. So insane. And then after that, it cuts to Captain, who is like, yo-ho, Mike, what's going on with that key? And Brock calls him back and is like, I got your key for you. I hope you want it, because I'm going to feed it to you. And fucking Captain's like, oh my god. One of the things that I find interesting after this, too, sorry to cut suddenly out of context here, well, not out of context, but trying to go off the rails, is the fact that of the two pirates that he's got here, that he's got one swinging and one on the ground, the one on the ground with his eyes open, he is dead. We do not see him again, as far as I remember. But we do see the other guy, the guy with the pantyhose on for Cap. Like, we will see him again. He didn't die, apparently. I don't know how, but he just didn't. And fucking Captain's like, no, this is not how this is supposed to go down. And fucking hotwires the boat. And he's like, I've never hotwired a fucking cruiser before. And then as he's fleeing, Dean's like, what about my dad? And like, who do you think I was trying to run away from? He's so freaking scary. And he's scarier than, and you hear the, whatever the hell that is. And then, so we got Rusty, who's talking out to the saucer, and is like, we have to pause for a brief aside, because once again, where my father failed, I, Dr. Thaddeus S. Venture, have, and then he gets pulled away suddenly, and he's like, no, now you want to rescue me? Pull me back to the thing. Stop, guys, what the hell? And then Rusty, like, catches on some rocks and gets them stuck. And fucking Captain, like, smacks his head on the driver wheel, and he's like, am I bleeding? It's a little red. I thought we cut the anchor chain. It's so fucking funny. And then they go outside and they find these dudes, and they're like, oh, dudes, they're all... And he finds the rope first, of course, with Rusty, and he's like, this is your problem. And then he finds the dudes that Hank had tied up, and he's like, oh, what the hell? I guess you weren't lying about those guys, and you're that bodyguard. Dean, like, I guess I wasn't. And he's like, Captain's like, what kind of bodyguard ties up people with little bows? And then you hear the scream again, and Dean's like, that came from the bow. And your Captain's like, told you. And then we see fucking Hank dealing with that, being like, screamed at by the ghost. And since Hank's being screamed at, fucking Captain's like, oh my god, no way, it's a real ghost. And Dean's like, Hank, don't move. I can't. Hank responds with, I can't. It's so funny. And Dean's like, shoot it. And fucking Captain's like, this is the same, came from the same ship we got the walkie-talkies. It's plastic. Well, you gotta do something. You're an adult, aren't you? All right. I'll save your dad's bodyguard. You live by the ghost, you die by the ghost. And he, like, goes and grapples it and shit, but it doesn't do anything. And he does it again, and it doesn't do anything. And then they're like, I guess it doesn't want to really hurt us. It just wants to do that, apparently. And then after they have him fucking, they show the ghost screaming one more time after they're like, it doesn't want to hurt us. It cuts to Orpheus, who is doing a fucking magical thing, and it ends up being fucking like cooking bacon or something like that. And then he gets a phone call from Hank. Yeah, and he answers it. Dr. Orpheus, master of mysticism. Oh, hello, Hank. What's that sound in the background? That's kind of what I'm calling about. It's a ghost screaming. And yeah, and then Captain's like, who's he talking to? And Dean's like, well, that's a necromancer. He lives in my backyard. Fucking their life is insane. It is like what it encompasses what Hank and Dean deal with is insane when you think about it in real life terms. And that's what makes this show so good, in my opinion, because while it's obviously not real life terms, they kind of approach it from what a real boy, what a real teenager who is so naive be like. Oops. And really, that's just how it is. Dean or Hank. You either get the action-packed, Batman-loving, crazy, blonde-haired exerciser, or you get the scientific, way too knowledgeable and way too naive for his fucking age type of character who reads more and does more science. It's interesting how they're literally just polar opposites in that regard. It's great. Also, Orpheus is like, are you certain it's not a guy in a rubber mask just messing with you? Mm-hmm. Okay. Alright, Hank, one moment, please. And fucking, as the screaming's happening, Dean's like, what's going on? And Hank like, I'm on hold! So, and then we get Rusty, who's like, general entry, whatever. The only warmth I feel is from the minor hypothermia. Now I can only wait for death's embrace and death to do what started at my uneventful puberty. And then, so Orpheus gets back to Hank, and he's like, I went through your grandfather's records. My garage is full of them. A Major Tom was tragically lost on that very spot. I must be him. I can feel it in my bones. Okay, what do I do? And he's like, oh, please. You seen Ghost? The rest is cake. Do you have a pen? To use as a magic wand. To use as a pen, Hank. Write this number down. It's fucking, wow. Orpheus is such a fun character, and he really helps in this episode that's already a very strong episode, but he just makes it even better in its own right, especially since they introduced him last episode, and I bet they were like, well, dude, this character is just kind of fun. Let's kind of try to use him a little, just depending. He is their neighbor, and so they call up Mrs. Tom, apparently his wife. He gets called up, and he's like, I can't believe this is working. We were talking, Brad talked to you about his husband. He's your husband. He's in trouble. What? Do you need to speak to him? And they're like, no, we need you to speak to him. No offense, Mrs. Tom. He's really pain in the ass. Beg your pardon? It then cuts to Brock swimming away from that pirate ship, which is on fire. This is another reason why I don't understand why that one guy lived, by the way. I forgot that this fucking boat's on fire when he's fucking walking away from it. When he had him fucking swinging from the rafters. I guess he could have jumped off, but doesn't seem right. Whatever. Anyways, so cool. Brock is amazingly crazy here. And then they have Major Tom's wife talk to him and being like, you're dead now. Leave the Venture family alone. And then out of nowhere, Rodney shows up. Rodney, which is the action man. And he's like, you've been dead for years. Gene's remarried. To me, actually. And then makes him, and of course, the ghost starts screaming and freaking out. Good job, dude. Wow. Yeah. He's like, it's almost 30 years ago, by the way. That's how long it's been. Which is interesting when you think about it. You know, now that I think about that scenario, that means this is 1998 or some shit. Right? If it's not even been 30 years. Huh. I never even noticed that little piece of information. Interesting. Very interesting. And all the pirates, like, Captain takes off his hat and shit, and it's like, oh, god, dang it. And then Brock comes out of the water, comes out of nowhere, straight wails on the ghost, pulls his arm off, fucking uses it as a bat to hit his head off the boat, throws the ghost's body off the boat, so brilliantly, so cool. And then Captain's like, well, we could have done that. And then he gets grabbed by Captain to, like, choke him out and shit, because it's like, fuck off, Captain, come on, man. It's so funny. And then you have Rusty, who's like, final journal entry, and him talking about how, like, maybe my sons will find this and learn from my mistakes. When they finally find my Minnesonic locator and my dad's saucer to make money from it, it will be a great, great success for them. And then he kind of goes off about how, like, boys, I just want you to know, I love you. He's about to say it, and then he doesn't, because the fucking ghost's head comes down, floats down from the water, and he sees it, and he freaks the fuck out. It's so funny and awesome. I guess awesome isn't necessarily the right word for it, but it is really funny and interesting. And then we have the last, after the outro scene, because that little skull thing flows into the outro, which is, you have Rusty shaking and being like, the eyes, they were so lifeless. And he gets a cocoa or a coffee or whatever from a dude, and he's like, who are you? Because it's just one of the random pirates. And then Hank is talking to Brock and is like, all right, Brock, hear him out on this. I know it's going to be crazy. And the bro is like, Captain is like, can we have a ride? Can I have a ride? Well, can we have a ride, I guess? The whole pirate crew. And Brock's like, what? And Dean's like, no, say it how you said you were gonna. I'm really, really sorry about doing all this. And, you know, you kind of destroyed our boat and killed Steve. So if you could just, you know, maybe hopefully give us a ride, we can call it Squaresies. And Brock like, it's fine. Go, team, venture. And fucking Captain, like, looks at Brock, and Brock's like, I don't know, they just do that. I'm not sure. And that's the end of the episode. This is a great episode. 100% recommend. Watch with me, guys, if you guys don't feel like it. It is a brilliant episode. You can find this on adultswim.com and stuff like that. Get the DVDs or whatever. Support the official release. It is a truly phenomenal show. Ghost of Sargasso, so far, best episode we have watched. 100%. Eeny, meeny, miny, magic. Great episode, but the Triana parts, not my favorite. Not even the Triana parts, because that's barely in there. I don't know. In the comparison, when I compare the two really good episodes, obviously, Orpheus is a fantastic character who was introduced really well and really played with. But Captain here is also a great character. And the fact that Captain's here, Orpheus is utilized, and they do, because they don't have any of Rusty with the boys, in my opinion, that's a really big strength in this episode. Because it's more about how Rusty comes to a conclusion of, you know, he's going to die, so he does love his boys, of course. And he just doesn't want them to, he wants them success too, is what he's basically saying at the end. And when he thinks he's going to die. And it's just so interesting, this series. And just the way the certain jokes are played, the fog machine joke, the Captain's stuff about the screaming, from the way that Brock is done with the it's up my ass thing, and from him just destroying the boat. Just him swimming away from the boat, blowing a puff of smoke like a badass. Brilliant. Brilliant. Not only does it showcase just how cool Brock Sampson is, again, because it's already been done, but again, just how cool and amazing he is. But also it's like just the sheer savagery of this motherfucker. God, it's amazing. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you are on YouTube, by the way. You can find this on wherever you find your podcasts, so keep up on a lookout for it if you want to know where it is. You can download it off of the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, that kind of stuff. I think that's it. This is a really good episode. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.